Okay. It is 7 o'clock, and it is Tuesday, November 15th. And we are going to have the Townsend Board of Health meeting. Can I have a roll call, please?
Gavin Byers.
James LaQueer.
And Chris Nosella. Colin, do we have any additions or deletions?
We don't, but I should call in because we do.
Oh, yes, we have to do that. We'll hold
Yeah,
on.
we can delete number 1.10 because I don't have any other permits.
Oh, wow. Woo-hoo. Very nice.
Sorry, I should have done
So we should be able to get you out of here by 11. All right. Yeah, I forgot about.
this. I know, I did.
Do we have to still do that? We do?
I was nervous about the public meetings.
Why?
So for the
Oh, you mean the,
hearing,
yeah,
I would definitely put the dial-in info.
Yeah.
But if you don't want it otherwise, then.
yeah. Well, we're not required to by the state anymore, so. You know,
They can't come in person.
they don't care enough to come.
Correct.
Yeah,
You
that's
don't
always
need
been
somebody
nice.
outside sitting in their kitchen giving us a hemorrhoid.
Yeah. Well, I always had problems with people that call in and won't tell you they're there.
Anyhow, let's move
Yeah.
the meeting because that's
Yes, we are. We're
unnecessary.
waiting for Carla to get set up in Dallas. And we're in. Okay.
And there's
So-
so many people there.
Yeah, as always. 1.3. The kennel.
The kennel.
The kennel. And
So potable water issue has been resolved, so. we got that
congratulations.
taken care of.
Finally.
Yes, so now we can actually talk about your kennel. Did you bring all your stuff with you?
As far as I know, there's only one other thing that was mentioned prior to this
Okay.
issue coming
Yeah,
up.
you'll have to refresh me because it was like 4 months ago, I think.
We were talking about, or you guys were talking about what the requirement would be moving forward regarding the septic.
Yeah.
And something was mentioned about potentially having to add something to the existing system, and then we kind of discussed it a little bit, and then you guys wanted to think about it until the next meeting, but then the water issue
Yeah.
came to light, so then we kind of left it off there. The only stuff I brought is the same stuff I brought originally, which
Okay.
was regarding the flow rates
Yeah.
in what the existing use is compared to what the proposed use is. The proposed use being the kennel is much less gallons per day than the existing, which was a 25 child daycare, which would have been an additional 250 gallons per day as opposed to the 50 that's required for the kennel.
Okay.
So in other words, I think where it was left off, I was hoping that the existing system could remain as is because it's over-designed for the proposed use.
Okay. Let me see, anybody with questions?
So I guess, unless you guys have something, I'll kind of go through what I
Yeah.
remember having
Go
talked
ahead,
about.
please.
So, I guess, one of the discussion items was the manure management part of it.
Right.
So the composting that was being done and whether that was gonna be adequate for the number of dogs that they had coming through. And then the other part was the septic portion. And so the discussion was really about whether or not this was a change of use. And if it was gonna be a change of use, then what Title V says is that there would have to be, a couple of things done to the system. One, we'd have to make a determination that it was adequate for the intended use, which I think we kind of made a decision that, there's still three bedrooms in the house, and the 25 pupil day school was essentially equivalent to the 25 dogs that he had proposed being there. The other part is the system, if it is a change of use, then Title V requires a Title V inspection of the existing system. And then the other part would be that the code has changed since this system went in, and now it requires a 2-compartment tank for anything other than a single-family home. And so that's kind of where things left off because the water issue came up. But the biggest discussion seemed to be about the need for a Title V inspection, 2-compartment tank, and then the manure management part of it.
Questions?
Go ahead.
You have any, Jim? Well, this is definitely a change of use. You can't go, you say, you're going from a daycare to a dog kennel and not say it's not change of use. So I think we need to discuss the septic system because under the laws, you have to bring up for a change of use. Am I correct in that?
In my opinion, that's correct.
That's correct,
I
right?
mean, that's what you've always done for
Yeah.
in-law apartments is, that was kind of the minimum requirement that they upgrade the tank if it wasn't already existing and that they complete a Title V inspection on the system.
Okay, so I mean, that's where I'm at.
Yeah,
Just as a heads up, if you got change of use, you're gonna have to get a permit through the planning board also.
Yeah,
So you're
We
gonna do
have
that,
that
but that's not our concern.
yeah.
But where it is a change of use, I think he needs to get a 2-compartment tank and have a Title V inspection.
the Title V inspection would come first.
Yeah.
But before the tank? Is that
Yeah, that's how I would do it, is do
Yeah.
a Title V inspection, because if the system's not good, then you
Yeah,
don't want to put a new tank on a bad system.
I see.
But they purchased it fairly recently, so hopefully the system's in good shape and it passes inspection. But yeah, I would do it in that order.
Okay. Sound good to you guys?
How old is his inspection?
So you purchased the
Just
house.
past the
yeah, so
it's like 3.5 years
Yeah.
ago was the last Title V.
Have you had it pumped since you moved to the house?
No.
No.
Well, if it's required because it's change of use, I think we should have it done. Both of them, I mean.
I would recommend we have the Title V done now that there's a water problem satisfied.
Hmm.
And because of the fact that it's actually going, even though it's a change of usage, it's going for a lesser, I don't know that we really have to go with that dual compartment tank.
What's he have now?
He's got a single supposedly.
it's a 1,500 gallon tank, and then there's a pump chamber.
Pump chamber.
Oh, in a pump chamber.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I didn't realize there was a pump chamber.
Yeah.
So that'd almost work as a settling tank, so to speak.
The term settling does happen in a pump chamber, yes.
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen on as big a volume.
Right.
So,
Okay. So, what do you guys wanna do? Do you wanna have the Title V? Gavin?
I've got a couple concerns.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're at this point in time where the water's good and we're looking at this as a change of use and we're looking at it as a business and we're looking at it from that point of view,
Mm-hmm.
clearly I think we need to do a Title V. We can have a discussion on whether or not a pump chamber is a 2-compartment tank system or not.
Yep.
I'm not the expert on that, but I'd like to have a conversation around that piece.
Mhm.
And then go from there
Right.
in terms of Title V regulations and stuff like that. Manure management, I do have concerns with. I was actually reading the minutes from the day that we went out there, and I think there's some things that concern me around the manure management. One of which is location and setup. So I think we kind of need to talk about that a little bit more. And then the other thing, just on my walk, what I saw was, we talked about letting pets have access to the whole facility downstairs. And I think there were some safety concerns that I have inside. And it's just observational, and we can have a conversation as a board on those items. As an example, you had fertilizer and grass seed stored in an area where there's gonna be pets. Stuff like that, I would say you're gonna need to definitely separate.
Sure.
You had carpet in the main area with 20 dogs in there. That's something that I would like to have a conversation about changing, having that many pets in that area. There's some things like that I think we should probably have a conversation about before at least approving something. And these things can be, addressed with a plan by you on how you're gonna deal with them. Or I'm willing to have a conversation on how to address those things.
Oh, we can do it
moving
now
forward.
if everybody's prepared. First off, the manure, that's been brought up by almost everybody, the conservation, you guys. And that was something that I didn't even think would have even been an issue, but because it is, we've gotten past the, conservation isn't concerned with it. We plotted everything out, measured it, as far as all of the parameters are concerned with distance from the property line, distance from the pond, distance from the river that's 200 feet away, like all those things we hashed out with them, and they're not requiring us to do anything else. Like there's no RDA or anything else with conservation. But the planning board also brought this up and wanted basically like I guess a manure management plan, like physically on drawings. So I guess my question to you guys would be, because I've heard various accounts of other businesses similar to this that have gone through this process as of recently. Would it make more sense? Would it simplify things if we just got a dumpster?
So
I
that's
mean,
what all the
that's-
other businesses that you guys
Yeah.
have approved has done.
Pretty
is-
much.
We thought we were
Pretty much
doing the
that's-
right thing by composting and thinking like it's gonna be better than throwing a landfill somewhere, but for simplicity's sake, if there's that much concern over how it's being done, where it's being done, if that would simplify things and that would be okay with you guys, we're more than willing to do that. Maybe that was a misinterpretation on our end as to what we should be doing
Yeah.
versus, what
Having the
makes
other,
more sense.
having the other boards be concerned with it is a good thing, but that is our responsibility. And we have many horse farms, I think, that actually use a dumpster to get rid of the horse manure.
Yeah,
And I know that horse manure, they use some fertilizer for gardens too.
yeah,
I don't think they do that with
No.
dog manure.
yeah. they
So
can't.
that's more of a,
It's
something
kind
you
of,
have
it's
to
just
throw
more
away.
proven, it's harder to break down.
Yeah.
The hardest thing is you gotta keep it at a super high temperature, which means you have to actively be on it. That's the toughest piece,
Yeah.
is keeping it 140 degrees. That's difficult. So, and we've talked in the past with just horse farms, and I have a feeling we're leaning this way eventually, is having a concrete space that you can manage it, that prevents, unwanted permeation into the ground. There's a lot to it,
Yeah,
and it stinks because the right thing is to compost it and not put it in a landfill, right?
right.
But the easiest thing and probably the best case scenario, I think, for you would maybe to do that as well. But, that's just kind of the way I look at it. We've had a lot of issues with figuring this out, and I think we're gonna run into a point in the future here where we're having some issues with manure management in the future.
I remember you mentioning that, or all of you guys mentioned that before, that
Right.
that's been an issue on the table for you guys for a while. Is there anything, I thought I saw something online on the town website does the town have a compost? Is that part of the,
It's
Not that kind of compost.
not like a
No,
an
yard waste.
industrial-
yard waste.
No,
Okay.
yard waste, that's all. Geez, you're scaring me. I'm like, I walk out there all the time to get rid of my leaves. No, it's just basically it's yard waste,
Okay.
grass, leaves, twigs,
Yeah,
stuff like
that
that.
kind of
It's
stuff.
not, it's not that.
I was
Yeah.
going down the rabbit hole with the state regulations on composting and what they're, for facilities, and I was going down quite a path there to try to figure a lot of this
Yeah.
stuff out. So I figured I'd ask, because it seems to be more of a regulatory nightmare to try to, like you said, you've got to do it actively, and how that's going to be managed and insured. I completely understand the concern there, so
Yeah.
I figured I'd ask if it's easier, we can completely take that out of the plan and just just have a little.
Well, I
small
think that's
dumpster.
part of the plan. I think part of your manure management plan would be, if
Oh,
you chose
would
to
be
do
to have
so,
it,
would be
right.
to have a dumpster and dispose of it that way.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure the board wouldn't be very upset if you did that.
okay.
I
So
mean,
that's-
I wouldn't
that's
be
the
real
first thing.
upset if you did that.
Is there a specific form or
Yeah,
template to use
there's
for
a manure
that?
management
Yeah.
form that we have.
Okay,
Um,
so I can fill that out.
Yeah.
And so, you know, at least in the past, you know, for the other places, it's kind of just been written into the approval that if they're gonna use a dumpster, that's part of the approval from the Board of Health, and it's just written into the approval letter. So manure management plans have really been reserved more for horses and other animals as opposed to dealing with the dogs with the few facilities that we have. So, you know, if that was the route that you were gonna take and you were agreeable to it and the board was agreeable to it, I would just say you deal with it by making that a part of the approval, a condition of the approval.
Okay.
Okay, the only thing that I would say to that, and I know that that's true, is that the last time we had this conversation, there was a supposed manure management plan, and we made a decision based on that existing, yet nobody produced one, and nobody produced that permit. So I don't want somebody else to run into the problem in the future of saying, this is what we did, well, where was the approval of that? Well, it was on my business information, which, you know, I just want to make sure we have the right record keeping for that.
Sure.
Procedurally. you mean?
Procedurally,
Yeah.
right. And Rick, you'll know 100% more than, you know, more than
Yeah,
I
so,
would.
I mean, yeah, I can, Carla deals with them a lot more than me, but I can't think of one that wasn't really for horses. And, you know, the reason is because it's really to comply with the Mass General Law that says we've got to issue a stable license. And part of that issuance of the stable license has always been that there's a manure
Okay.
management plan in place.
Okay,
So it's, you know, really up to you, but I've never seen it used for these purposes before.
okay, all right.
Yeah. My only concern is being a dog owner, and I've had dogs my whole life, and Gavin's got multiple dogs, that the amount of dogs you have and what you are going to produce daily is a lot of waste. And we just want to make sure it's disposed of properly,
Right.
you know? We don't want
Oh, you
just
guys-
piles of it left everywhere, because
You
you
guys,
are a business and, you know.
yeah. You guys know
Treat you as
that
well.
we've been doing this for 3 years, unbeknownst to us that we needed this permit. So,
Those are the rumors I've heard, yes.
yes. And we're trying to do things the right way now,
Yeah.
but this isn't conceptual to us, this is like, we've been doing this, so what we did in the past was the compost.
Yeah.
But in doing things the right way now,
Hmm.
if that doesn't work, we're more than happy to do the dumpster.
Yeah.
That was just what we thought would have been the right thing to do.
Yeah, that's the
You know what, to
fastest,
be honest,
easiest
I
way.
thought it would have been more of an issue to have a dumpster than it would be the compost. But,
I personally, I can't
get it
say
now.
because I was unavailable the day that my board members got to go to your house and see. So
oh,
I
that's
have-
right, that's right. Yeah.
I have to rely completely on them. You know, so I will go with their recommendation for that,
Sure.
you know?
Um,
And that's how, I would like to see what the board would like to do, because this is gonna concern you and it'll help you with your manure management plan.
Mhm.
If we say, okay, yeah, you can they'd rather see you compost it, or they'd rather see you use a dumpster, that we'd leave that to the board, because, like I said, I haven't seen your property, so
Okay.
I can't just guess on where you're keeping it. Gentlemen?
Gotcha.
Go ahead.
I'll add to that, where the compost is, it's very close to the little pond you have in the backyard. But I think the purpose solution for you is to get the dumpster and use the dumpster, that eliminates all of the
All
dump.
the issues with the,
That makes it all
Yeah.
go away by having that dumpster, so.
okay.
My question to you is, with these dumpsters for manure, is there a special dump for it?
No, Yeah, just 'cause it's gonna go to the same, they could throw the regular trash in there too and get rid of it. It's
Oh,
all
okay.
gonna go to the same place.
Oh,
I mean, the
okay.
only thing with it obviously is you want it to be covered, and if it starts to smell, then you're gonna have to do some sort of odor control.
Okay,
But hopefully it's getting emptied enough that it's not an issue.
yeah, I imagine if it's a 40-yard dumpster, I don't think you'd want that hanging around that long. But I could just picture that, oh my God, that would be smell
That's that ugly
horrible.
picture.
Wow, it sure is. Yes, but, all right, Gavin, please, your thoughts.
Yeah, are there situations like this in other towns that you know of, Rick?
Townsend is the only one that I've gone through dog kennel approvals with.
Okay.
So, we have a lot of manure management for horses where they use dumpsters.
Right.
But Townsend's really the only one that I've dealt with for dogs. And I know that there's other facilities in some of the other towns we use, so like Gemini, which is in Littleton, they're a pretty big facility that does dog daycare, and they do a dumpster too. They've got some groundwater recharge stuff and things that they put in for urine for their outdoor runs too.
Wow.
But they do, everything's disposed of in a dumpster as far as the feces.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gentlemen,
I think it's the Title V inspection.
yeah,
And
that's probably where we should start,
Yeah.
and then continue from there. I think we've had a pretty good conversation with
And a heads
the,
up for the carpeting that he has inside of there, if you're gonna have all those dogs on with Gavin, that should be some type of easy clean surface for that area of the house.
what's in it
It's all
now?
carpeting now, it's real.
So
carpeting.
the situation was that they do a pretty cool open concept to what's going on is
Okay.
they let the dogs have access to the entirety of the house.
Yeah,
Which personally, I love the idea of that. I look at dogs as 2-year-olds. If they can get into something that's dangerous to them, they will.
Yeah,
So, with that being said, having access to your whole house, I would like to see that anything a 2-year-old or a dog can get to that's bad for them be in behind a door that they can't open up, or in a container that, a cabinet or whatever that they can't get to. That would be like kind of my first instinct on that type of stuff. Usually when you have a dog kennel, they're in basically an empty room, right? So there's nothing that they can get into, because if they can, they will. We can talk about $1,400 retainers that we just had to replace just at our house, right? And
Yeah.
which happened in about 10 minutes. And that's with our own pet, never mind somebody else's pet.
Yeah.
So I would take a real good, strong look at that from that perspective and see if you can definitely mitigate any potential hazards because you're using the whole space.
Sure.
And I love that concept, and I don't want to say, no, don't do that concept, because I love the idea of that. I mean, as a person who's brought my pets to places for boarding and kenneling, I think that's a great way to do it. That would be my first concern is everything safe? Can they get into things that they're not supposed to?
Sure.
So I would just take I would say just take a good look at that stuff.
and you said the floor is carpeted?
And so there's a main room right in the middle, right between the main living quarters and really the entryway that's carpeted. So, and I would get rid of that.
Yeah,
You have to be able to, you
Yeah,
have to
I
be
would think
able
that
to
would
wash
be
it.
a serious problem.
Well, it's commercial carpet like this.
You're
and-
still getting urines going through it. It's getting to the undersurface, whether it's concrete, it's gonna smell forever. Concrete is not impervious to smells. Just cleaning it, if the dogs, go to the bathroom on it, like take a dump on it. It never completely comes out. That'd be a concern I have with other dogs getting diseases from, other dogs. I mean, that's my concern with the dog. I don't know how much, and maybe you can enlighten us, how much say we actually have in this stuff? Because as a public health agency, does that cover animals
I
too?
mean, it really, if you think that it's a potential public health hazard, then it falls under your purview.
Yeah,
And so if you're giving an approval, you can put conditions on that approval. So, I mean, what I've got written down so far is the dumpster for the manure,
Yeah.
that there can't be any nuisances that result from the intended use. There's no potential hazards in the dog accessible areas, and the areas that are accessible to the dogs have to be, have floors that are smooth and pervious and easily cleanable.
yeah,
That's how I
okay.
would-
So that would cover the carpets?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you guys have anything else?
And that's really all that I have.
That's all we got? Okay. So in order for us to move on, we're gonna need the Title V inspection.
Yeah, and then I guess the only other discussion is about the tank.
Yeah, yeah, we'll do that after the Title V inspection.
Okay.
We are getting there. We are getting
Slowly
there.
but surely.
Yes.
How do I go about that, the Title V? That's
So it's,
pretty-
the state issues licenses for inspectors, so Townsend doesn't have any additional licensing requirements, so anybody that's licensed by the state could do the inspection.
Okay,
There are several in town. Typically, people just either, ask somebody or do a Google search and you'll
Sure.
get plenty of options.
That works. okay. Sounds good.
Okay. So we will see you at I would assume that shouldn't take long?
It's really gonna be how far out is the inspector.
Yeah.
So, I don't know too if, it makes sense for you to work through, these are your requirements so far. It might make sense to work through your planning board approvals and ZBA, I think you have to go through too, and make sure that, it's gonna move forward before you actually start putting money towards, what you're gonna do. That's really up to you, how you want to do everything, but typically, people will wait until their approvals are essentially in place until they start moving forward.
Yeah, I was gonna ask that because what we were under the impression, at least from what we were told from the planning board, is everything right now is conceptual. If things end up finally being official and there are contingencies or conditions, the time to address those would be after everything is said and done, not
Yeah.
as you're going through the process.
And so I guess.
I just wanna make sure that's correct, because
That's what.
we've already done a lot of stuff on the front end of, as we've gone through the process initially with other departments and whatnot, and
That's what I would definitely recommend, is you don't move forward.
Wait
with it
until
you know
everything-
that you're gonna be a business, and your approvals are all in place. And so that's why I would encourage the board to kind of make a decision on the tanks now, so that we can provide the comments to the planning board and the ZBA, and everything's already spelled out. And so, if your concern is if it doesn't pass Title V inspection, then you're not just upgrading the tank, you're replacing the whole system, then you just write it, if the system fails inspection, then the system needs to be upgraded in accordance with current Title V and Townsend Board of Health regulations. If it does pass inspection, then we want to replace the tank, or if you guys decide that you don't, then it doesn't have to be a condition.
Okay.
I think that part of this could be done right now too, even before the Title V. If there's a problem at Title V, it's gonna be with the tank and with the D-box, it's not gonna be leach field. And it's already accommodated.
How do they do that, Jim, and know that it's not the leach field?
You have to do a water flow on it. You run a series of water into it and make sure that the D-block is flowing freely and the water is being taken into the leaching facility itself.
Okay.
I think they're recommending in most Title V's to at least a couple hundred gallons of water. Make sure that's going right or wrong, Rick.
Usually the only time I see them put water into a system is if it hasn't seen normal flow.
No.
Then they'll do that, but
Yeah.
the inspection requirements within Title V don't require a test. Really, they're looking at existing liquid levels, under the assumption that the system's seen regular use.
So basically, all they're doing is, you don't even have to have it pumped to have it inspected.
No, in towns we require the pump.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Well, that got changed also?
Yep,
Okay, we're gonna fix that
But,
again.
but under
Okay,
Title V.
that's why I was like, I'm sitting here thinking, I'm going, we I remember this too, because I was my amazement that Title V, all you had to do was pop the cover and go, yeah, there's water in it, I guess we're all set.
Well, you gotta-
Which,
you gotta look at
not
the
knowing anything about this, remember now.
Well-
I remember back in the day, so,
Yeah.
yeah. So things will be, yeah. See, that's the hard part for me, Jim.
Well,
This is your thing, so I mean, for,
I'm not challenging the fact that somebody that hasn't been involved with
Yeah.
Title V inspections
Yeah.
and or installations is
Right.
not gonna have the same knowledge Rick and I
Right.
do, because we've been in the field.
yeah, well, that's why I'm asking.
I never riddled the state when they said you didn't have to pump a tank, because
Yeah.
you can't judge the integrity of the tank unless it's pumped. And I've never
Yeah.
done a Title V
Yeah.
without pumping a tank.
Well,
by the way.
okay, so this is one of my questions because I don't know.
I don't have all the answers, but I can give you some of my suggestions.
Yes, so, oh, look at my new kitten ate my thing off, my
See that? That's what puppies get into too.
little kitten, she's cute as hell. All right, so now, here's my thing. Not knowing. We're gonna approve a tank without a Title V inspection.
That's not what the conversation is reflecting on right now. In the event that it passes Title V,
Yes.
and he's got a pre-existing condition where there was already a kennel in place and a daycare
Yes.
on the existing system.
Okay,
If it passes Title V, the question is, are we gonna require an upgrade for that tank?
okay,
And that's entirely up to us.
right,
My opinion there
Yes.
is it's a pre-existing condition.
Yeah.
If it passes Title V,
Yeah.
it's already did all the daycare stuff and it's already done all the dog stuff. So in the event there's a failure and he's gonna make an upgrade, then it has to happen. He's gonna have to do
Yeah.
that. But on a pre-existing condition,
Yeah.
it's my opinion, if the system is working and it previously used all of the child stuff and all the puppy stuff, I can't see why we'd make them spend the money to replace the tank. In the event that it fails, that's a different story. Now it's time for upgrade.
being devil's advocate for this, in our regulation says that he's changing use and it needs to change a tank. Do we set precedence with everybody that comes in and goes, hey, I've already been doing this, it's okay because if it passes Title V, I never have to change a thing.
Yeah, well, in
Are we
my,
setting precedent on that by doing this?
in my opinion, we're doing the protocol of our position.
Yeah.
Because if it's a change of usage,
Yeah.
you never saw the usage prior to,
Yeah.
then I'd be skeptical about it and say we have to do the upgrade.
Okay,
But because previously it was already being used for that intention,
Mhm.
it still passes Title V.
right.
I don't feel that that step is necessary
Okay,
at
you're
this
not
time.
worried about someone coming in and going, hey, what's good for them is good for me?
Well, when the time comes that somebody else is gonna do it and they don't have previous conditions,
Hmm.
they're starting new, we get a whole new ballgame. His conditions pre-exist, he didn't even own the property.
Hmm.
Now, somebody else that decides they wanna change usage and they've never had a kennel,
Right.
never had a daycare,
Yes.
that's a whole new application.
Yeah, okay. No, I'm just playing devil's advocate. I'm just protecting the
And
town
that's
from,
only my opinion, I'm one of three.
yes, I
So-
understand. But this is your gig.
I know a little
Yeah.
more than Rick and I
Yeah,
with
well, no, you
rules
know,
of-
you know a lot more than I do and Gavin does.
So that's my
We're still
opinion.
learning. Okay, Gavin, what do you think?
I think I'm in the middle, and I think I need to be persuaded one way or the other,
No,
because based on precedents, the last 3 or 4 things where we've talked about change of use, we've
Yeah.
required 2 tanks.
yep. And that's how
That's-
I'm looking at it too.
That's where we've sat, and I don't think it's easier to tell him right now, you need to go with 2 tanks,
Yeah.
than it is to tell multiple previous people the reason why we're gonna let this go with 1 tank, when the change of use commercial requirement, Title V is for 2.
Okay,
So I'm in the middle right now.
Right.
I can see both sides.
well, basically you would
But
be the
I-
deciding vote on this one.
I'm kind of leaning toward, based on what we've already done,
Mm-hmm,
where we've made people get 2 tanks or approve things based on having 2 tanks. I'm kind of leaning that
all right.
way.
Well, I'm gonna have to move things along, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna put 2 proposals on the board, and we're all gonna vote.
Okay,
I'm gonna vote no on one, Jim's gonna vote no on one, and it's all on you.
yeah.
That's how it's gonna work.
Carla,
Yes,
I would like to hear
Yes.
Rick and Carla's opinion
Yes,
as well.
go ahead, Carl.
If you guys don't.
I'm just wondering if we have to do this, can we just wait and get the Title V done where it's
I
so
just-
controversial
I
right
just,
now?
you know, I wouldn't because I think it's a pretty clear decision, one way or the other, it's gotta be
Okay.
made. And I think, you know, it makes it easier because we can write it into our referral for those boards and then it's written into their official decision as well. So, you know, my concern would be.
No, I agree. No,
Once again, we're not always supposed to agree.
That's true.
Okay.
That's why I wanna post 2 motions. You know how I feel, we know how you feel. He won't make a decision, so we're gonna have to force him into one. That's the only way we can do it.
He
If we-
can abstain and we don't get any place tonight.
Yeah. And that's
We
not gonna
can't
help
force
him
anybody into
anyway.
anything.
No, I'm just saying, cause
I just wanna
you
let Rick-
you wanna get this done for him.
Maybe this will be the last thing I can kind of reiterate is, I don't know anything about the previous, you know, situations that have come up that you guys have voted on that seem to be similar to this, but I think maybe the deciding factor is how many of those changes of use were going to, the proposed use would have been a lower flow rate than the existing. Because I feel like when most people do a change of use, whether you're going from residential to commercial or from one smaller commercial to a bigger commercial use, the flow rate would be increasing, which would, common sense would apply that, of course, you've got to upgrade the system. But if you're going to a smaller use, I know this is really specific with the flow rates, but I mean, that's the way that,
The only problem is with this case is it was on the precedence of the rule, not data driven.
Yeah, I guess, you know, there has been one recently, so it was Sally's vet office, went from a higher flow to a lower flow. So it was originally a 3-bedroom house that went down to a vet's office, which I think was, so went from 330 to 200 or 250. So there was a decrease there, and in that case, she kept the system, the leaching part of it, but did have to replace the tank. And so, you know, I guess getting back to the original discussion, you know, my concern would be that consistency in decisions is important. And I think that if you didn't make him
Yeah,
replace the tank, it would be setting a precedent because it's clearly a change of use. And, you know, even though it's a lower flow, and it had been used as a daycare before, it's still a change of use, and it's been a pretty consistent decision for quite a few years now.
Thank you, Rick.
Does that help you at all?
Yeah, so in my opinion, in this case, I think you're gonna need to go with the change of use regulations and do the 2-compartment tank. That would be my position on that.
Yep. Okay. Now, do we need to motion that, or do we
So
just put it into the, how do we do that?
So I would make a motion so that your decision is made, everything as far as Board of Health requirements, if he follows through with it,
Yep.
is taken care of, and then we can send a referral form to the planning board, ZBA, and essentially our part's done. And then when and if he gets his approval from those boards and whatever other boards and committees he needs to, then, you know, he can start working on our requirements, which, you know, will essentially be adhering to the conditions that you put on it, the Title V inspection, and then the tank replacement.
Would he have to bring back a drawing with the location of new tank?
The tank
even though
would-
Sally
The tank could go.
screwed us on that
The tank
one?
could go in the same spot. So that's typically how tank replacements are handled, is you know,
Okay.
just go in the same spot.
Yeah,
A 1,500 gallon tank would be the same as, the same footprint as what is it, 250 gallons and 330, so that's,
well, he's still gonna have to have the pump tank, he's still gonna have to
well, the
pump
pump
up
tank,
it.
the pump chamber will remain in the same
Yeah.
place too. So really, it'll just be your replacement of that.
So you'll end up
septic
with a lot more settlement, obviously,
tank. Yeah.
going into a settlement tank and then into the pump chamber, which is pretty much what you're looking for with our new regulations, right? So,
Essentially, yes.
yeah, so in other words, this would be a good thing for the future.
Correct.
Okay. All right, so, can I get a motion? Gavin?
So what is the
So you want
motion
me to
you
go
said?
through them, because I wrote them
Yeah.
all down,
Yeah.
and then if you want to just,
Yes,
So-
please.
the conditions of approval from the change of use to the, from the 3-bedroom house with a 25 pupil day school to a 3-bedroom house with a 25 dog, Brian?
That's the maximum.
So up to 25 dog kennel would be that a dumpster will be used as manure management, that the intended use will create no nuisance conditions, that there shall be no potential hazards in the dog accessible areas, that the areas accessible to the dogs will have a floor that's smooth, impervious, and easily cleanable, that there'll be a Title V inspection of the system. If that Title V inspection passes, then the board will require replacement of the tank with a dual compartment or tanks in series per the requirements of the Townsend Board of Health regulations in Title V. If the system fails, then it shall be brought up to current requirements of Title V and Townsend Board of Health regulations.
Just a question, was it 20 or 25?
25.
Are you
Dogs?
sure about that? Because I have in our minutes from 9/28 that it
30.
was specific max level of dogs were agreed at maximum at any time would be 20. And I actually watched that video today.
Okay. Because, yeah, I thought it was
From one of the hearings or from?
From
one of
our
these meetings?
minutes of 9/28 that you had gone to all the other boards and the max level of dogs were agreed that all boards at any time would be 20.
Oh, then keep it at 20 then. Nobody seems to want to say anything. They want us
So it's
to
really-
propose it.
it's really whatever number you want to throw out, and then, the board will either be agreeable or not. I mean, 25 was just an easy number because it was the number of kids that were approved, and if the board was
Right.
comfortable with that number of dogs, then it seemed to make sense, but if it was gonna be less, you probably want to hash that out right now so that that portion of it's in there, because you do want to set a limit.
The average is 10. What we were told was
So
the
we'll
only,
put the, if you don't mind, so we'll do the motion right now, based on what you said, I think. We can do that at 25, we'll just say at $25, that's what you said, and we'll follow that. And if we disagree, I think we can change that.
I haven't seen the facility, so I don't know if he can hold 1 dog or 100, so I'm leaving that up to you guys. Jim, go ahead.
In the event, he had that Title V done 3 years ago.
Yes.
It passed. There was no even
2018.
gray areas in there. And you're over that by a couple of months, you just said?
5 years?
he probably, or
Yeah.
you guys
It's 5
have
years
a
ago.
copy of it.
Where I'm going with this is if he passes Title V, which he should pass, because he's already got a passing Title V done without a water test somehow, I don't know how that happened. But if it passes, we're gonna make him upgrade the tank. There's no sense in doing the Title V, just make him upgrade the tank. And this meeting is done.
But what if it fails, then you're gonna
What if
put a
it-
tank in a failed system?
It had already passed 3 years ago, it's only
5
like,
years ago.
he just said 3.
Well, it's 2018. It's 5 years ago. It's 2022.
You've got a
I
copy of
don't
the
know what-
inspection,
The last one I have is from 2018.
so,
Yeah, so
yeah.
it's 5 years.
Yeah.
It's 5 years. It's only been used for 2 people essentially, and they're not home all day. It's up to the board still right now for the Title V, but if he's already, even at a 5-year increment.
Well,
have you
if he
had
just
pump
changes the
anytime?
tank,
Yeah.
right?
Pardon me?
If he just changes the tank, how do we know the rest of the system works? Without having it checked. I mean, that's in our regulations.
It doesn't make sense to me that that system is gonna fail even if it's been 5 years, but
It's just, that's one that you really, if you're gonna call it a change of use, you can't veer from because it's a Title V requirement.
Yeah.
It's not your local requirement.
so what you're saying is even though, because it's a change use, he has to have the Title V done first?
Yeah.
And then we decide if we're gonna upgrade the
Well,
tank?
that's kind of just the sequence you'd go on because you wouldn't want to put a tank on a bad system because elevations, et cetera, might change and it might be the difference
With
between a
pumping, et
gravity
cetera.
fed
Okay.
system.
I'm just sitting here considering where we're going with this, trying to do the best thing that we can. And, thank you for straightening that out, Rick, so I guess you got a motion on the table, and my thoughts are changing here a little bit, so.
Okay.
Last question, sorry, Rick. Is there a need for a noise nuisance?
So, I mean, I guess that would be included as a nuisance, so
Okay.
typically nuisances cover, noise, odor, and dust. And then there's other things too, but
Okay.
those are kind of like,
It's
so vague, you could fit a lot of things into
Alright.
it.
Okay. So,
Second.
so just to clarify, change of use, dumpster requirement, nuisance requirement, 25 dog limit, no hazards accessible to the animals,
Impervious floor.
impervious floor, Title V, and the tank requirement.
Yep.
I'm sorry, I have one more question. What about heating and cooling? Is it required that there's air conditioning during the summer months where it get really hot where
That's
there's
up to the-
25 dogs?
That's up to the board. I mean, I think you start to kind of get out of your purview and more into the purview of the
That's building.
the dog
Or
officer,
anything else. I
who
think.
issues the kennel licenses. So
Yeah.
I think probably leave that part to them
Yeah.
and deal with potential public health nuisances for anybody that might be in the building.
So daily showers and baths are not required. Okay,
All right,
Jim?
Seconded.
Okay, all in favor?
all right.
Aye.
Aye, so moved, okay. Now, you're all set. Now you can move on to your next board.
So I'll put your letter together that'll
Okay.
detail all that. And it's kind of
I'm a little-
good, and your approval from the Board of Health doesn't constitute an approval for the use. You still need to
Right.
gain approvals from other, your boards and committees.
So what you were saying, what you guys were saying is that will go to the ZBA
That'll go
and
to
the
the-
planning board
yeah.
as their, so they'll be aware of.
So that they can, whenever they do make a decision, then those referrals will be, they'll essentially be a part of their final decision.
Okay. Gotcha.
Okay,
So I don't have to come back in 2 weeks.
no?
Okay.
No, I think you're all set with us as
Just
long
making
as,
sure.
we
Thank
get,
you
you
all.
get the
Happy
Title
holidays.
V and everything for Rick and we'll be all set.
Do you do an inspection or a walkthrough for occupancy?
No.
So
No.
so that's just,
Yeah, so it would probably be, I'm assuming, you could make that a condition of it too, if you wanted to, make a motion to
I was just-
modify the
yeah.
original
I
one.
thought the Board of Health was part of occupancy.
Typically not,
No?
so, we would, the septic portion of it would, because ultimately, the building inspector is gonna be involved, and he's gonna be the one that'll give you occupancy.
Right.
For the use. And the
He'll
hope
have
would
our
be that,
conditions.
if they make all of our conditions a part of their decision, then those are things that he's gonna check for as well.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense.
Do you want to amend that, just to have the Board of Health do
I mean,
final inspection?
only,
I mean, it's,
I just brought it up only because
Yeah.
we put a lot of conditions out there.
right,
But I don't know,
I-
I don't know the procedure.
I
Yeah.
mean, just
That's why I'm
because of
asking.
the smooth and impervious surfaces, your portion of it, and the no potential hazards, if you're gonna write it in there, maybe not the worst idea in the world to have that be a part of it.
okay, now, is that something that you have to do or something we do?
I would do it.
Okay, do you
And you're
mind?
gonna
Okay.
amend your motion though.
Yes. You gotta,
Does that have to be amended or can we?
Yeah, so it would be a
Yes.
motion to, amend the
Amend.
original.
I'll make a motion to amend the original motion to add the requirement for a site walkthrough prior to
occupant.
occupancy.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye,
Aye.
Aye. Very well, there you go.
thank you.
And we'll close that. Let's move on to 1.4.
Have a good
3
one, guys.
Saunders
Good luck.
Road, septic update, Jim, my boy, I sat too long.
So, this is just an upgrade with no requested variances. Existing system's out in the front right now, wells out in the back. They're proposing the 1,500 gallon 2 compartment tank. that'll gravity feed to this 40 by 15 leach field. So pretty straightforward. There's a little bit of gradient associated with it to meet breakout.
Okay, I make a motion, 3 Saunders Road be approved as drawn.
A second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved. Aye. I should throw that in. Okay, let's go to 310. Ooh, Main Street, new construction.
I have that, interdepartmental referral
Oh,
form
perfect.
too.
Okay.
It showed up late this
Actually, I think I've
afternoon.
got that one here.
Do you have it?
I have
Main
it.
Street?
Good.
Yeah, because I was
Recall
wanting it
seeing it, yeah.
because I wanted to make sure I kept it for that form.
Didn't know Main Street had room for new construction.
So it's an existing house that they're gonna tear down.
Oh, okay.
So right now the house is right here. So you can drive down Main Street. They've actually got a dumpster. They started cleaning the house out.
Whereabouts is that? Which side of the
It's
center?
on the left if you're going towards Ashby.
Oh, it's down that end,
Yeah.
okay.
So existing house right here in the corner. They're proposing to put a new house right in the center. 4 bedrooms it'll be, and it's pretty similar system. So 1,500 gallon 2 compartment tank. It's going to gravity feed to 3 trenches. It was all really nice sand with no groundwater table. So no grading. The lot will just go back to what it was as far as what it looks like.
Are these dotted lines the originals?
So those are reserve.
Oh,
So
so they're putting in reserve?
yeah, so they are. It's basically a new construction system.
Okay. So the reserve pipes are there. Are they actually, I'm only asking because I do not know. Are they actually installing those pipes?
No, so they're just an area that's set aside for future
Oh, in
replacement.
case they have to add more pipes to stay. Okay, gotcha. All right, thanks, guys.
Where is this?
It's on the left if you're going towards Ashby. The house is right up on the road.
Before the state park?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
On the left-hand side?
That one up, I can't.
I just came by there, I didn't see anything today.
Yeah, so
I
there's,
wasn't looking
when
at
I drove by, there's a dumpster that's pretty stuffed. So I didn't see it last week, so I think over the weekend they must have started tossing
Yeah,
stuff.
all right.
Okay.
It's all cut and dry. I make a motion to approve 310 Main Street as drawn.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, moving on.
I'm just gonna hold on to it for now so I can grab a copy of that form from you and I'll give it to you.
Yeah.
It's actually
that one
in
down?
your mail slot.
All right, let's go to, whoa, West Meadow Road, 98
Sorry.
West Meadow Road renewal.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. Don't sign yet.
That's 98.
What you give me?
I gave you the next one, but that's okay, because you're probably gonna approve this because
So
it's just a renewal.
This one is just, it's a new construction lot on West Meadow Road. There was 3 lots that they had permitted and the permit expired. So they're getting ready to build the house and they're just looking for the 1-year renewal that Title V allows.
Oh, okay,
That,
all right, that's not a
That's
problem.
98 West Meadow?
yes,
Yeah.
which you already signed. Gavin, did I take it
Yeah.
out of your hand while
Yeah,
you were
hold
half
on that,
signing
right?
it?
I
No.
have signed it.
That's, we're just approving the,
Yeah, extension.
yeah. Okay, let's go to 2 Walnut Street. Let me have that one signed. Oh, no, my pen died. But you'll get the gist of it.
Is it,
No.
is it getting busier? Are you getting busier?
No, and it happens every year where the winter comes
It
and it
just
starts to
gets
drop
crazy,
off.
yeah.
I mean, I think it's a combination of the interest rates going up and the housing market slowing down and the winter coming. Not that I'm not still busy, I just did 15 lots on Lunenburg Road in the past few weeks. So there's still quite a bit of stuff going on, but it's slowing down.
This is,
So this is in Timberley Park, Walnut, so it's at the corner of Walnut and Beach Street. Existing house right in the middle of the lot with town water. Right now, the system's out in the backyard, so tank here, an existing system here. It failed inspection, and there was an open area over here, so that's where they ended up testing. So they're just gonna come out to a new 1,500 gallon 2-compartment tank, and that's gonna gravity feed to the field, so it's 12 by 38.
Which corner is it on?
Beach and
No,
Walnut.
there's 2 corners there, technically.
Oh, so it'd be on your right if you were coming towards Beach Street.
Okay.
And so no variances, in full compliance, a pretty straightforward one again.
Is it 3 or 4? I see 3 over here,
3,
pipes.
so they show it schematically like that, but it's 4 pipes, so that's what you
Yeah, there's a
right
gap
there.
in the middle there, and it says 4.
Okay, all right, yeah. Couldn't see quite that far. All right, once again, we're about cut and dry, so I make a motion to approve 2 Walnut Street, is Ron?
Second.
All in favor?
All right,
Aye.
Aye. And we are moving on to 67 Highland Street, new construction. Oh, I didn't sign that one yet, did I? I'll come over and sign it, Rick. Providing my pen still works. Chapel tractor.
Oh, look at that.
I don't know, I just found it on the floor. Oh, it's time to get
That's how you'll know I won the lottery without me telling you I won the lottery.
What's that? A cheap tractor or?
I'll have tons of Apple tractor pens.
from all the pieces you buy, or the tractors you buy, one or the other, whatever comes first.
New on Highland
This
Street.
is another one where there was an existing house that they tore down, maybe about a month and a half ago. And so they're rebuilding a new construction house on the lot. So house is going about where the other one was. That existing
Proposed
driveway
driveway.
before was right here, and the proposed driveway's in about the same location.
Yeah,
So 1,500 gallon 2-compartment tank over to 3 leaching trenches. They've got the reserve area in there again. Pretty similar system to the 310 Main Street. It's the exact same system.
God, John Forrest is buying up that whole area, isn't he?
Yeah, so Mark Truitt and John Forrest.
There's no
are doing
dip
this
here,
one.
so we're all set with this one.
yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
I make a motion for 67 Highland Street, John.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we got 134 Baker Hill Road upgrade.
Barker Hill Road.
Barker Hill
We
Road?
don't have a Baker Hill Road.
Barker Hill Road. Thank you, sir. Well, let's see if it works. Where's that at?
Fast.
Keep shaking it.
I'm not watching that.
This is
Oh, one of these fancy systems.
that a Presby? Is that what you got?
And Vibro.
Did I give you stickies on those too? Might have to give you prices still.
Oh, that looks pretty fancy looking. huh?
So, yeah, existing house, failed inspection, so they're looking to upgrade it. Well's way back here on the lot, so you can see that's the 100-foot offset off the well right there. They've got a couple of irrigation wells back here too, but they do meet the offsets required by Title V. So they're coming out with a 1,500 gallon 2-compartment tank, 1,000 gallon pump chamber, and then it's gonna pump up to a Presby field right here. So just because they get a little skinny, they are proposing a plastic barrier on both of the sides to limit grading, so it comes, grades out before you get to the property line over here with room for a swale. And then over here, I think he's just trying to avoid grading too close to the house.
You know, all they're doing is putting plastic in there, that's it?
Yeah, so that's what the requirement is, so it's a 40 mil poly, so it's pretty heavy.
Yeah, is that really necessary though, Rick? Water goes down, doesn't go
Yeah,
up.
that's kind of my opinion, but that's what the state requires, so, if you're not gonna meet the 15-foot, then you've gotta have, you
Yeah,
can do a clay
right,
barrier,
okay,
you can do
yeah,
a plastic
but-
barrier.
It's a waste of money, cause
So
it doesn't do anything physically.
The top's gotta go up to the breakout level, so for the
Yeah.
Presby systems, it's the bottom of system sand, and then it's
Oh,
gotta
okay.
extend at least 1 foot into natural ground.
Well, once again, we're at the same corner.
And there is one variance I'm looking for, so that is on sheet number 2.
Probably the variant.
I think it might be a 1 foot ground. Actually, tank tees. So they're looking for a reduction in the separation between the tank tees to high groundwater, so 12 inches is what the code requires. And he's saying that the calculations show 10 inches on the tank inlet, 7.5 inches on the outlet, and then the pump chamber, 7 inches on the inlet and 6.5 inches on the outlet. So the only requirement is when they request that variance, you have to either hydraulic cement or have boots on the tank. All the tanks are manufactured with plastic boots and clamps now, so it's kind of already taken care of.
Everything good, yeah.
All right, Jim, you're up.
All right, 134 Barker Hill Road is drawn with one variance.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we just gotta sign that one too. Do you have it? Oops. All right, now where are we? Okay, we are eliminating 110, so we'll do the quick COVID update. Take a second. I'm gonna get Carla back too, so.
So the last reporting was November 10th,
Yeah.
and it was 13 cases in town, so it's been that way the last 3 meetings.
Yeah, it's basically between, I think one I got from Jim was like less than 5.
Yeah.
And it just keeps that bouncing to
Yeah,
back
by
up
the
to
time we
the
get to
10.
our meeting times,
Yeah.
it seems to be, that 13 has been pretty consistent.
Yeah,
So I did happen to look at the wastewater data, it's for Boston.
Yeah.
And they showed a decline about a week and a half ago, so
Yeah.
at least, when they had presented all that data before, we were about 3 weeks behind the city, so it kind of worked its way out from the city.
Right.
So hopefully, by the next time we meet, we'll see those numbers start to decrease, just same as
go
what they.
back down again. That would be nice, right before the holidays. All right, Turnpike Road, housing update.
So that one was the apartment over at Country Estates where we had
Yes.
brought it to court for enforcement. So the apartment's all cleaned up, it looks great.
Yeah.
I talked to Adam, town council,
Yeah.
and so the case is gonna be just dismissed.
Okay, good.
And it's resolved.
Okay, very good, thank you.
Thanks for all the work with that.
Yeah,
That was a lot.
Turned out pretty good. I mean, the owner of the unit, not the tenant, was very involved and he did a great job.
Good. That's awesome.
Okay. Does Rick need to be here for septic regulations update? That's actually on our next meeting anyway, so.
Well, we got a brief discussion right now because we can share some stuff.
We're up for discussion on the next meeting, Jim.
Okay,
Yeah,
then
so,
have it that way.
no, just, it's already there, so. All right, so Needle,
So the
So
only
you're
thing that I would
actually-
mention is just for the next meeting on the
Yeah.
29th, when it is a hearing,
Yeah.
just make sure that it's on the agenda as a public hearing.
yeah. Actually, is that the date we set for the public hearing?
It is.
Okay. So we can actually discuss anything during the public hearing, it wouldn't matter.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay. Needle kiosk for seniors, this has come up that, we do have a lot of seniors in town that do have a lot of injection needles, either for diabetes or for something else. Would the board consider giving a discount to seniors for that, as opposed to making them pay the $5?
I don't see a problem with that. Can we manage that?
I just got new containers that were 1 gallon and they were $3.76 for a 1 gallon one.
Yeah.
So I think if you, I mean, I wanna offer it, but you have to have some sort of a protocol. I just can't, someone comes in and says, oh, well, I'm a senior citizen, and my cat needs 3 injections a day, but I live in the $1 million house, and I'm just gonna say Barker Hill Road, just hypothetically. How will we do that? Does the Neshoba Board of Health have any type of?
So you know, we essentially subsidize it, so we don't make back what it costs us. So you'd have to kind of figure out whether your budget for the needle disposal would allow for that, because I would assume that if your containers are $3.70 whatever, and your disposal cost is obviously something, you know, if you're gonna discount it from $5, you might already be subsidizing it, and you'd only be subsidizing it more, so do you have a budget to be able to do that?
I do. What my concern is how do I determine who those senior citizens are? Because there's the senior citizen who's very wealthy, and then there's the senior citizen who really needs the help. How do I determine that?
It doesn't matter.
It really doesn't matter.
It doesn't
doesn't.
If
matter.
you're offering it
A
to
rich senior
seniors.
citizen has every right to get the same cost
Benefit.
benefits
Benefit,
as
yeah.
a poor one.
Okay.
Yeah, you can't,
Yeah.
Okay,
A
does
senior
that
is a
suck?
senior.
Sure,
okay.
but they've
I
earned.
just want to follow
yeah,
the rules.
yeah.
I just want
Yeah.
to make sure that I'm not segregating anyone. So, proof of,
Proof of age.
over 65 for
I
a
would
senior
say.
citizen would be
I mean, I
65,
don't know the rules around that. but-
right? Is it 65?
Yeah, I don't know, I mean, I would do, you know, whatever is
Yeah.
typical with those type of discounts, whatever that age might be.
Let's continue it to the next meeting and let me get some information from the clerks and what they do in town for senior citizens and what the legal age is.
Yeah,
I don't think that we're gonna have a problem in the next 2 weeks
I don't think so.
with it, but I would like to offer it to.
We haven't yet, so another 2 weeks isn't
And what's the
gonna really-
background from this again? I missed that. Is there a?
Just this, we have a lot of seniors and we're just, just trying to help,
Yeah.
you know?
I have one senior citizen particularly who's almost 90 and his cat needs 2 needles a day. So it's gonna be like $30 a month for him to dispose of his needles. He's very happy that he doesn't have to go to Ayer,
Yeah.
mean-
and that he can come here, but $30 to him is a lot of money.
Well, this this kind of brings up a problem that I have in general with these situations, and we went over this a couple of weeks ago with a manure management plan. If it's too hard to manage, then maybe you shouldn't have cats, or maybe you shouldn't have the horses, or maybe you shouldn't, like, I understand it and I want to help everybody as much as we can, but they're finding sympathy in those situations is kind of difficult sometimes, because as much as I understand a pet is certainly an important thing, you kind of got to pay to play. That's how democracy kind of works.
Okay, just speaking from experience, the cat is usually something that you don't spend like a German Shepherd and a purebred where you spend thousands of dollars. A cat, most people just get a cat as a kitten, and then when they become elderly, they get diabetes, and then all of a sudden they
Yeah.
get these problems. So now you've got a homeowner who's had this cat, who's now its companion.
Right.
It's his companion
For sure.
for 10 years
For
and,
sure.
and never had a problem and was able to
Right.
just feed him Friskies for $1 a day. And now all of a sudden the cat's sick and he brings the cat and now he says, I need you to spend X amount of money for, and let's not forget the medicine. This is just a disposal.
Sure.
So,
Yep.
just trying to look at that.
Yep. No,
I think for now, we should put this in the next meeting and
Okay.
think about leaving everything the way it is.
Okay, let's table that and we'll bring that, Kyle, put that on the next meeting.
Okay, do you want to let Rick go?
Yeah, Rick,
All right,
thanks for coming.
cool, yeah, so I'll, if you wanna hold on to those for now, I'll get you prices for them on
That's fine.
Thursday, and I'll give you this last one too.
Okay,
All right.
I'll see you Thursday and probably
Yeah.
come tomorrow.
Thank you for the day, Rick,
Yeah, no problem.
for that
All
time.
right, have a good night, guys.
Thank
All right,
you.
thanks, Rick.
Happy
Invoices.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah, same to you
Yes,
guys.
happy Thanksgiving
Yeah,
next
good one.
Thursday,
Oh,
huh?
that's right,
Wow.
yeah,
Are
we're
we-
not gonna
Do we
s-
get a meeting next week?
No, it's the Tuesday
No.
after.
We're not gonna meet on Thursday? At Kyle's house for turkey? No?
won't
All right,
be there.
just checking. It
So
won't be there.
Carla's mileage was a little high because we went and
Yes.
got emergency supplies in Worcester. which was a little much, and we did the Friday route, to see what
Yeah.
was happening with the recycling committee driving around.
Yes,
So,
we did speak
and
with
it,
them.
and it's
I
hard
think-
because
I'm hoping
Fridays,
that has
I don't
cured the
have the
problem.
town car. But hopefully it won't be a problem. GW Shaw, monthly bill. Unitil, anyone notice that their bills have doubled because? Oh, the recycling center went from 44 to 88.
Are you kidding?
Yeah, well, I've been hearing it.
Guess what?
Um,
It isn't even winter yet.
Right.
Wait
Sean
till- Wait till
Pearson
that heater's running and they start getting gas bills.
has his DOT training and license, which is 186.41, which we graciously will pay because
Oh, you
he's
signed it?
actually
The one right on the top.
going to be helping Nick Vogel, is going to be training for his license. I think he's got it right there, right? That one?
I
No,
got
this one here isn't signed either, apparently, Phil.
This pen.
Can't tell which ones your signatures.
Well.
So Sean Pearson, his DOT training and his license, he's gonna be training Nick Vogel. So we will save the money
I
for
got
the
that one.
training, and then we'll have him there as well. And then the Sharps, the 1 gallon containers. They are,
One signature on that?
no, we need 3, there's just one
Okay.
line, so thank you. So the 1 gallon, they're $3.76 a piece, and we charge 5. What I have to do is I have to find out how many of those 1 gallons can fit in the container now. Because before I could
Yep.
kind of squeeze them a little more. So, great price though, and that's, people will be very happy with that. The 1 quart ones were ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I think that this might actually help the senior citizens when they see that they're getting a 1 gallon versus a 1 quart for the same price.
Yeah.
It might offset that, help me. That's all I have for invoices. Minutes, I did
Is
send
these
out.
the ones that I read online?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just went, and one of the reasons why I wanted to send it online was to help with the long agenda, and also to remind you about what happened at the kennel, which I was so happy that you read them, because didn't it give you the, oh, remember, it was so
Yeah.
long ago?
Yeah.
So, that was
It actually
good,
helped out.
right?
Yeah.
It helped me out a lot too. It was painful to listen to them again, but it is
To have-
super to have the recording.
Do you need initials on those for
Which one
approval?
did I miss?
No, that's, got my initials on it already for approval.
You only need one of those, right? Want 2?
Sure.
There you go, there's 2. All right. Recycle center update.
I don't think we really have much of an update. The containers, the container is in for the mattress grant. We had 7 mattresses, 4 were left at the gate. So we're gonna have to talk about illegally dumping, but that's gonna go into an executive session
Yeah.
where it's not here.
Right, no, that's
We need
definitely.
a camera.
So, well, we're gonna talk about that
We're
in
gonna talk
executive
about that
session.
too. Well, we can, yeah, we'll talk about that in executive session.
I really think that that's
Yeah.
important to do.
Yes.
So, but it seems to be working well, and I've got a couple of calls already from people, what do I do with my mattresses, when they found out how much it was to bring them to the recycling center. And again, they had king and queen mattresses just for $10 more. They called Tough Stuff.
Did they really?
They did.
Wow, that's
I
awesome.
mean, that's a
What do you mean?
no-brainer.
What do you mean you're not open right now? I said, well, you can bring it down this Saturday. They're open. What do you mean this Saturday? Oh, we're not open right now. And the thing is I can bring people down there for miscellaneous stuff, but I'm not touching their mattresses.
No.
I'm not, so that's not gonna be an option. If you've got something else and I'm down there to drop off the cash box or get receipts or something, I'm more than happy to help residents, but mattresses are not gonna be one of those things right now.
No,
So-
absolutely you should not. That is really not in your job description.
So,
No. Okay.
sampling was done at the lagoons. Weston and Sampson was up there, everything looked great, and we'll have those results in a few weeks.
Yeah, do those, do they get pumped?
I was gonna say,
We
yeah,
didn't pump them this year, we didn't have to.
right.
Really?
There wasn't a lot of water
Yeah, 'cause
and.
we got a drought, so, yeah,
Why spend the money?
yeah, absolutely.
That's supposed to start self-stabilizing anyway.
Yeah,
But the duration of time has gone by now. Almost
Yeah.
20 years. If not 20. That's
20
think-
years.
oh, yeah,
So it's supposed to.
In 2023.
Manage
Yes.
the water level.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, it's so close.
yeah.
That's
So,
Almost there.
we actually, right before you joined, we were testing annually, and Weston and Sampson went and requested the DEP get 18-month sampling because it didn't seem
Really?
like it was, and they came down, and remember, that's when they jumped in the well, and they wanted people to get into the well, and we said, well, that's ridiculous because it's so contained, we don't want people to
Yeah.
get into the well without training.
Yeah.
But they approved it. And it was 18 months. We asked them if they would ever close it completely, and they said that they didn't think they ever would, that we would somehow still have to test.
it will have to be, the monitoring's gotta go on for an eternity, there's no
Yeah.
question about that, just to make sure everything is fine. But for what it was supposed to do when we first started putting it in, it's right there, it's happening.
Next year?
Yeah, next year, really. So what does that mean?
Not really sure.
Does that mean we don't have to test the water anymore?
No, we're always gonna have to
You're
test
gonna always
the
have
water.
to, it's gonna, what it means is it's gone to the biggest, the settling and everything within the confines of that landfill
Right.
are settled out to where they're gonna go.
Okay.
There's gonna be no more movement, no more motion,
Right.
essentially.
Right,
So, and, because of that, the treatment that comes out of the water that comes out is almost done coming out because of all the layers of
Right.
plastic that are throughout that.
yeah.
That's why they were looking at that area to put the dog
Well,
park in.
do you remember, Jim, I think you were off the board at the time. They had the,
Dog park.
no, the DPA, is it EPA, DPA, whatever?
The DEP.
Came down the lady came down and went, where's the dump? I said, "It's right there." She goes, that can't be the dump. I've never seen, it doesn't have any smell, nothing.
That's the one who wanted
Wanted
us to
the
go
wells,
into
yeah.
go into the wells, and
Yeah.
you were on there because you were the one that said, no, I don't, they're not trained
Yeah.
for that, I don't want them to go in there, that's ridiculous.
Yeah,
That's hazardous.
And so we got to replace the pump still, right, next year?
no, maybe not.
Oh.
We got it fixed.
So we did a temp, did we not do a temp fix?
I thought we did a temp fixed.
Yeah.
I think we did a temp fix and we needed to readdress something next year, but I could have waited.
Right, and those are
I
the
mean,
pumps for the
Lagoons.
lagoons.
Yeah.
But with no water, we hopefully, you know,
The problem with the pumps is gas pump, and if it's not
a
proper
gas
gas
pump?
treatment, if you don't put, it's still a gas pump, right? Last I knew,
It hasn't been changed.
no, so,
It's-
there's a gas pump down there, that's auxiliary pump is actually what it is, they have
Okay.
some electric pumps too.
Oh.
But the gas pump is what we usually get in trouble, and we just have to pump out because the water level's too high.
okay,
Which, back in the day, you were pumping out not good water,
right,
but today it's all purified, so you're just
Yeah.
pumping out water.
right,
Right.
So, but if the gas pump hasn't been used, those things will clog up. If you shut them off or don't let them run out of gas,
right.
they can be a nuisance, so.
Does anyone actually
I don't know if anybody's
go
doing it or
anyone,
not.
like, start this thing once a month or?
Well, they don't, and
Okay.
I will talk to Gary because he does the maintenance down there.
Okay,
Shepherd's does, and I just wrote a note, thanks to Gavin, to make sure that we check that out. And
Yeah.
make sure that we're all set for the winter.
yeah, I'm just curious on like, cause I know gas engines, you just don't let them sit, like, you got a car engine. You find a car in a garage, chances are you're gonna have to break the motor down, cause this shit
Yeah,
been
they
sitting
get
there.
plugged up.
I imagine this gas pump must be the same way.
The key to these gas engines, and I do it on my generator, I do it
Yeah.
to everything I have, even my diesels,
Yeah,
is you gotta put seafoam in them, and when you shut off a generator, I
Yeah.
shut the gas off
Yeah.
and let it run out of gas. I don't
Yeah.
shut the electric off.
right,
And then you turn around, you go to start it, usually 2 pulls and it's running.
yeah,
So, but you gotta get the gas out of the carburetor.
yeah, okay.
So.
All right, so you'll talk to Gary about that?
I will.
And anything else? I can tell you guys that, with the mattresses, it seemed to be going pretty well. The ones that came in when I was there, people put them in themselves. We did have the problem with the 4 mattresses someone left there that we're gonna end up having to eat the cost on. because they threw them over the fence,
Yeah.
you know, so. But, yes, we will have a, executive thing to talk about the,
Security measures.
security measures.
With that said, I forgot to mention to you, my dad turns 90 next Tuesday.
Okay,
So I'm gonna be taking Tuesday and Wednesday off, so that means, well, actually not all day Tuesday, I'll be leaving at noon time.
okay,
So we have Thursday and Friday off for Thanksgiving, so I'll be working Monday and Tuesday morning, and you will not see me Tuesday afternoon or Wednesday,
okay,
okay?
sounds good to me.
Enjoy.
Gavin, you
90.
good with that?
I'm good with it.
90.
90,
Pretty
wow.
good.
My mom is 94 and she's actually in rehab right now because she had pneumonia and a really bad UTI, so. And with old women, I guess that's like doing acid, so.
Yeah.
She was like talking to puppies,
That's
the
not
poor
good.
thing. So hopefully she recovers and we can get her back to, you
We'll
know,
put her on the St. John prayer line
Yeah.
tonight, okay?
So, yes, so, okay, so we're good with that. Future agenda items are still stable regulations. And obviously, we have a septic
Public hearing,
public hearing.
which I will make sure
next
is listed,
meeting.
public hearing.
And we make sure we get, we have all the,
Are you gonna, is there going to be a draft?
There can be a draft. Rick and I were 45 minutes today,
Yeah.
and he's 100% in favor,
Right.
100% in favor of all the proposals that I'm
right.
recommending.
Mhm.
And we're gonna go back to basic state codes for distance offsets, et cetera, because we don't need some of these other things that were fabricated in there,
Okay,
and bring it right back down to affordable again,
okay.
so.
What I can do,
long-lasting.
Maybe like a,
I'll do a strike through, because it's a
Strike-through,
Word
yeah.
document
Yep.
that's in my computer.
That'd be
So, Rick and I can work on this Thursday, and I'll get it out to you guys.
just
so you
as
can see
long
what
as,
the proposed is.
if I could have it, you know, by that day to read it,
You'll have it a few days before at
Okay.
least.
that's fine. I usually try to read everything before we come in, so, thank you.
Fantastic. Okay, next meeting is at the 29th at 7 PM. Can I get a motion to close?
I'll make a motion to adjourn at 8:22.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And we're